Welcome back to Ghoster Coasters, everybody, and today we're heading back to Cedar Point, the roller coaster capital of the world. A park that's been thrilling guests for over 150 years with record-breaking coasters, iconic flat rides, and a history that runs as deep as Lake Erie itself. If you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button, and a huge shout out goes out to all of our subscribers and of course our wonderful channel members for making all of this content possible. And if you haven't already, guys, what are you waiting for? Just go ahead and join the spooky community today. Alright, let's get back to Cedar Point. Cedar Point has evolved to keep up with all the changing trends, and that means making some tough choices, retiring older rides, building bigger coasters, and even in some cases, relocating attractions entirely. Relocating rides at a theme park and amusement park isn't something you see very often. Most parks either retire rides for good or sell them off to other parks. But at Cedar Point, some rides just don't disappear. They find new homes within the park itself. It's like kind of rearranging furniture at your house, except the furniture weighs 100 tons and spins guests around at 30 miles an hour or something like that. Relocating a ride isn't a decision that a park makes lightly. It's expensive, time-consuming, and requires careful planning. So why do they do it at all? Well, Cedar Point relocations often happen for two reasons. First is to make room for new attractions that are bigger, better, and often more exciting. And second, to breathe life into newer, older rides by moving them to areas where they'll get more attention or fit in with the new areas. Let's take a closer look at some of Cedar Point's most notable ride relocations and explore how they fit into their former locations and why they were ultimately removed and placed somewhere else in the park. In the early 1980s, the Super Himalaya and Matterhorn flat rides were located near the park's iconic Space Spiral, in a section of the park that would later be transformed into the Gatekeeper Plaza. At the time, this area was a mix of smaller flat rides, games, and food stands. A lively but somewhat cramped midway, too. By the mid-1980s, Cedar Point was gearing up for some big changes. The Matterhorn was moved to a new spot near Corkscrew, where it remained until 2023. Meanwhile, the Super Himalaya found a new home in Camp Snoopy before, again, moving back near Corkscrew in 1999. These moves freed up space near the Space Spiral, which would later become home to towering thrill rides like Gatekeeper. But the moves didn't end there. The Monster moves from Iron Dragon to the Gemini midway. Now, the Monster was a classic spinning flat ride, originally located near Iron Dragon in the mid-1980s, but as Cedar Point began expanding its lineup of roller coasters, that space became more valuable. In 1987, Cedar Point moved the Monster to the Gemini midway, where it became part of a bustling area filled with flat rides and family attractions, which you can still see today. This move not only gave the Monster a more prominent location, but also allowed Cedar Point to use the space near Iron Dragon for future expansions. And again, guys, the moves don't stop there. This park has moved a ton of things in its history. Let's get to the Midway Carousel. For decades, the Midway Carousel stood near the Raptor entrance, offering guests a charming, nostalgic ride in the heart of the park. But as Cedar Point prepared to build new coasters like Raptor, the carousel was relocated to the park's front entrance in 1994. Today, the Midway Carousel serves as a welcoming symbol of Cedar Point's rich history, and it greets guests as they step into the park. It's one of the best things about the park, and if you were there for Halloween weekends, you even got reverse carousel rides this year, which was pretty cool. But if y'all thought the move stopped there, the Giant Wheel and Troika also make a move too. Did you know that the Giant Wheel wasn't always located on the boardwalk? When it first opened, the massive Ferris wheel was located near Millennium Force, towering over the park's western side. But in 2000, Cedar Point moved the Giant Wheel to the boardwalk, giving it a more picturesque setting near the beach. Troika soon followed in 2001, becoming a part of a growing collection of flat rides on the boardwalk. Ocean Motion also had a different area, and Delbert's Frontier Fling. In 2011, Ocean Motion was relocated from the Windseeker area of the park to the former Demon Drop spot near the park's front entrance where it can be seen today. This move allowed Cedar Point to make room for Windseeker, which is a towering swing ride that offers riders a panoramic view of the park. Similarly, Professor Delbert's Frontier Fling, a giant swing ride formerly known as Ripcord, was relocated from Cedar Point shores to a spot near the park's Forbidden Frontier in 2017, right across there from the barnyard, giving guests a new reason to explore that secluded area of the park. But unfortunately, this ride has seen the axe this off-season. Let's go ahead and get into the boardwalk boom though, guys. In recent years, Cedar Point has made a big push to revitalize its boardwalk area. Between 2014 and 2023, several classic flat rides including Dodge'em, Calypso, which is now Tiki Twirl, and Atomic Scrambler were relocated to the Boardwalk, creating a nostalgic, family-friendly section of the park that's perfect for guests of all ages, especially with that addition of the Wild Mouse over there. The Boardwalk area is one of the coolest parts of this whole entire park. And of course, if you remember, the bumper cars that are over there were also at one point by the old Valraven area. If you guys remember correctly, they were on the Millennium Force midway there, across from like Coaster's Diner in front of the Good Times Theater. Lots of things have moved in this park, so it's kind of cool to watch as history keeps moving and time keeps moving. You see these rides still there, but just in different spots. So like you take your grandparents who haven't been in 15, 20 years and they're like, wait a second, that wasn't always there. And I think that's kind of cool. So why does Cedar Point keep moving all of their rides? Part of it has to do with preserving the park's history by relocating the older rides instead of just scrapping them. Cedar Point is able to keep the classic attractions alive while still making room for new developments. And it's also about maximizing the use of space and keeping the park's layout kind of fresh and exciting for visitors and guests. Cedar Point has always been a park that's willing to adapt and evolve, whether it's relocating a flat ride to a new home or building a record-breaking roller coaster, or heck, even building, a whole entire enclosure over a roller coaster. Cedar Point is constantly changing, but always staying true to its legacy as the roller coaster capital of the world, and remaining true to its commitment to world-class entertainment and rides at the park. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you didn't know about some of these ride relocations within the park. If you guys were there back in the day, let me know if you remember where some of these things moved from. I know it's kind of cool to hear when people are like, hey, I remember when it was back there. So let me know down below in the comments if you remember where old rides were. And of course, as always, thank you for being a part of our spooky community and for coaster ghosting with Ghoster Coasters. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, and a huge shout out goes out to all of our channel members. We can't wait to see you guys for opening day this year.